2 months, I've lost about 20 pounds.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm on my phone.
Raf,
Yes.
chat. On chat.
Are we on? All right. All right. Welcome to a incredulous, a furious, a disbelieving episode of Daily Gooner Pod here on the Sports Talk Line Network. Let's get right to it. I'm still having a hard time gathering my wits after that 2-1 defeat at Wolverhampton. But welcome to all of you who have joined us. I'm Raphael, joined by my English cohorts, Sam to my left. Welcome, Sam.
Hello, mate.
And Ryan below him. All right, gentlemen. Let's jump right to this. Arsenal had this match. I think there's no other way to put it. They began very cleanly. This is perhaps I think you and I, we've commented on it, the best half of football that I've seen them put together in a long time. They very easily could have had a 2-0 lead inside of 10 minutes. They were set up. They had the right lineup. And then it all fell apart in the final seconds, literally the final play of the first half. We'll get to that in a moment. Everybody knows what we're talking about, the red card against David Luiz and the subsequent penalty. But let's talk about the lineup. Let's try to focus on the good things. Gentlemen, straight out the gate, Thomas Partey, inside of 30 seconds, finds Bukayo Saka, long ball. I'm going to start with you, Sam.
Yeah, long
Bukayo
ball.
gets inside of him, looks like he's got position. No luck. Beautiful shot right off the post.
Yeah, it's a superb ball from Thomas Partey, and it just goes to show what he's got in his locker when we talked about when he signed about his long range passing, and it was brilliant. But for Saka, to outpace, I think it was Kilman, and then secondly to position his body between Kilman and the ball, so Kilman could either just stay behind him and try and put him off, or give away a penalty. But ultimately, as the ball settled down for Bukayo, his technique was a bit wrong. He's cut across the ball. But again, under that pressure, that stage of the game is very, very, very early. So you can forgive that in that instance. I did actually have a joke in one of our group chats to say that I swear that we're cursed in the first minute that we can't score a goal, considering that Lacazette done it the game before. But yeah, ultimately should have been 1-0 up then, but wasn't meant to be.
All right, but Ryan, let's talk about the way this was set up. And Partey, I think, was the key. That Wolves came out pressing Arsenal from the get, and Arsenal were having no trouble breaking it. And a lot of it was through Partey. He was coming down deep. They left Xhaka a little farther advanced. Partey was able to just dribble out of it, feed it to Xhaka, feed it to other people. Then when he got it near into Wolves' half, we know Smith Rowe was going wide to the left. A lot of space in the middle. Lacazette was dropping deep, in and out, and they were just feeding the balls to the wings. A lot of work to Saka on the right side. A lot of activity, a lot of chances, a lot of space.
Yeah, and I think it all came down to the fluidity of our front four, whereas all four of them can really play in each other's position, other than maybe Lacazette, but he's played wide before previously. So I think the fluidity of the front four really confused the life out of their back four, because Pepe was popping up on the left, he was popping up central. Smith Rowe barely receives the ball in the centre of the pitch. Our main issue before with our attacking midfielders was we didn't have any in the space, but with him, for some reason, he doesn't receive the ball in the middle of the pitch. He's always breaking the line behind the defence, so he's receiving it wide, but dragging 2 or 3 players with him, and it's leaving the gap in the middle for Lacazette to drop into, or Pepe to come into, or Saka on either side, which really hurt Wolves today. We're breaking the lines pretty easily with Smith Rowe going in behind, Lacazette drop in, and then the space out wide was there because Saka was darting inside, Pepe was going inside, and then the fullbacks were going on the outside. And I think that's how Mikel Arteta is trying to set us up now, and it's becoming quite obvious his plan for us now.
And from that, I mean, just 6 minutes after Saka hit the post in the 7th minute, an apparent goal. I forget who was bringing up the left. I think it was Smith Rowe. Chips it in from the left. You have Rob Holding, who's in the middle of the box, heads it across the box. Lacazette's on the far post. He controls the ball, just pulls it in. They're looking for him to shoot. He rolls it back across the middle of the box. Saka streaming down from the right side. And he blasted inside the post this time, not off the post. It looks like 1-0. VAR steps in, looks at it. All of Lacazette's body is onside, but his foot, the ball of his foot and his toes, he's offside by about that much. And so what could have been another goal, second goal, certainly the first goal, wiped off the board. We're 10 minutes in. Arsenal could have 2, maybe another chance, and they have nothing. And I was shaking my head saying, oh, it's coming. And then it came, Sam. It took another 20 minutes, but Nico Pepe with just a brilliant solo move, beat 2 men, cross the goal, upper right-hand corner with his off foot of all things.
Mm-hmm. And with that goal, what really screams out to me is that Nicola Pepe has really adapted to the rigors of the Premier League, and it seems in the last, I don't know, 2-3 weeks, I think it is, it's just really clicked for him. And I don't know whether that's because he's done some extra upper body work in the gym, because if you look at the way that he's riding challenges now, he uses his upper body to literally body people out the way and for them to try and barge him, but it's not effective because he angles his body in a very intelligent way. So if they try and come in with a shoulder barge, he slips in front, and it worked again with this one. You can say he got a bit lucky on the nutmeg and the way that the ball's ricocheted in front of him, but that finish was brilliant. And with that goal for him, that brings him an absolute renewed amount of confidence. He could have had another one as well where Patricio's put it onto the bar. But the goal for me was superb. And if that don't win goal of the month, I don't know what will.
All looked contained. Arsenal had the lead. They were in control. They had possession. Wolves were pretty contained. They had a counter here. They had a counter there. Nothing really scary. A couple of shots right at Leno. And then in the final 30 seconds, really the final 20 seconds of extra time, everything flips. Wolves get one through ball. I forget who it is. One of their forwards is in on goal, in on Leno. David Luiz is coming from the right side. He's beaten. He's trying to catch up. And if you're like me, you've seen this replay. You probably run it 20 times. They appear to come together. There's no body contact, but foot on foot on the inside. But what's clear is that Luiz if he makes contact, this is still not clear to me. If he makes contact, he makes just the glancing contact, Ryan, with the player's left foot. And then if you see it and watch it on replay, he takes a full stride onto his right foot, takes a full stride onto his left foot, then thinks like, oh, as he's coming to Leno, drags his right foot and tumbles over and draws a red card for Luis being the last man for contact, draws an instant red and a penalty. Lots of people saying, well, he's the last man. It was the denial of a clear scoring opportunity. I've watched this thing 24 times. I think, don't you have to try to score to get that to make that argument? He made no attempt to score.
And not only that, but the new rule, double jeopardy, is David Luiz is literally not trying to play the man or the ball. So it literally isn't a challenge. So I'm not really sure why he's been sent off for it. I don't even think it's a penalty. There's no contact. I've watched it numerous times in numerous angles. As Arteta said, I can't see any contact. And if that one's a penalty, the one on Saka in the first half is a penalty because they're exactly the same. There's minimal contact on both. So why is one a penalty and the other isn't? Is beyond me. The officiating in this league is absolutely diabolical. It's diabolical. The VAR is not the problem. It's the incompetent referees controlling it. Honestly, I've had it up to my head in anger of these referees. Bruno Fernandes should have been sent off against United for a reckless challenge on Xhaka. We don't get that decision. That probably changes the game in that game. David Luiz gets sent off today. Fair enough. If it's a penalty, it's a penalty. Give the penalty. Don't send him off because it's not in the rules. 2-1, 1-1 with 11 men. I think we still beat them. Come out, regroup for the second half. The referee has cost us the game today, and I don't know what the Premier League are doing, what the FA are doing, but these referees are untouchable. If a manager comes out and moans about them in the press conference or whatever, they get fined. The referees are literally untouchable, and it's an actual joke.
To compound this, Sam, VAR looked at it, but if you look at the time that was spent, they didn't really look at it.
No, of course they didn't. I'm not being funny. The offside, they spent about 20 odd, 30 odd seconds looking at it. With this penalty is decided before it's bloody given, for Christ's sakes. They probably see him running through and go, something's going to happen here, but we'll give it regardless. The thing is with VAR, as Ryan said, it's not, the problem isn't VAR, the problem is, and we'll reiterate it, is these incompetent referees. You've got to come to the point now where you actually think, are these referees corrupt? Because it seems to be the same old bullshit every bloody week. Majority of it is with us. If you look at other teams, stuff like this happens. They get away with it. Nothing's given. It's looked at. Checks done. Checks completed. Game moves on. But with that challenge, or therefore lack of challenge from David Luiz, the actual bit of contact comes where the geezer was in the motion of shooting. David Luiz hasn't changed his running style whatsoever. The guy has drawn his foot quite a far way back and literally grazed David Luiz's knee. So when he's trying to then swing through to the ball, he's missed the ball and collapsed because he knew that he's missed the ball and he knew that the chance was gone. Now, with these referees, they really need to be made accountable. I said on Twitter today that the spectacle of football is getting ruined by these referees because they are a major part of football, obviously being the ref of both sides. They make these decisions. The decisions that they make are absolutely horrendous. And there's no accountability for it. There's no fines. There's no retrospective action from the Referees Association. They should be made to come out and speak after the game as to why they've made that decision or not. It's as simple as that now, because VAR, they can even hide behind that because none of the people at home, nobody in the stadium, barring the commentators, actually get to hear what's being said. If you look at any other VAR in any other sport, you hear what the referees say. And that's inside the stadium, at home, and commentators all tell you what's going on. So why is this any different? Probably the reason why it's different is because these referees are so utterly incompetent and they don't know their asses from their elbows. And John Moss, fuck me, he needs to disappear from this referees because he's a disgrace on the pitch and off the pitch in that Stockley Park. And if I had my way, I'd completely replace all the referees in this league because none of them are fit for purpose.
Difficult situation. Obviously, 1-1, down a man, but still, as you said, 1-1. I was still fairly confident Arsenal could get a result at 1-1, but again, it was not to be. Wolves, probably because there was extra space in the middle of the pitch, got a wonder strike about 6 minutes into the second half from well outside the 18-yard box. Just a wonderful smash that was off the post, beat Leno. So suddenly Arsenal's down with 10 men. It still looked threatening for a while, but it's tell they started to wear out. It was a real shame because I watched Wolves in their last few matches, and they're a club that runs out of gas around the 70th minute. And having that man advantage, Ryan, was just such an advantage for them because ordinarily, I think that was part of the game plan. Even then, with 10 men, I thought Arsenal keeps their composure. They keep it at 1-1. Part of the idea is let's just get them into the end and let's wait for their dip. We're a more fit team. At least when I saw Wolves against Chelsea for the last 25 minutes, they were just huffing and puffing and just holding on for dear life.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think if I have one criticism of Arteta tonight, and I think Sam would agree with me here, is he took Lacazette off at half time rather than Smith Rowe. I think if he took Smith Rowe off and put Gabriel on instead of Lacazette, we had a focal point at the top of the pitch where we can hit long if we have to, someone to hold the ball up and bring others into play. Whereas when Lacazette went off, we played Pepe through the middle and Smith Rowe off the left, and it didn't really work. So I would have probably taken Smith Rowe off and made Lacazette drop a little bit deeper with Pepe and Saka flanking him. So I reckon that would have been a bit of a better substitution, solely because on the counter-attack, the speed of which we can get forward with those three. And then if it comes to it, you can take one of them off for Aubameyang, like he did eventually. But then with Aubameyang, he's playing on the left, not in the centre. He can't hold the ball up. So if there's one criticism I do have of the game, with other than the referees, it would be Arteta's first substitution was not right, in my opinion.
And there was an opportunity. I did notice even when it was 2-1 and even when Arsenal were a man down, Wolves was playing a lot of real aggression. They had an extraordinarily high line, Sam. I still kept thinking there's an opportunity for a long ball. And that amplifies your point, right? And I think if Lacazette is there, that's just another target for that. We saw it at the beginning of the match. I mean, Wolves were still vulnerable, but they were able to maintain possession in the center of the second half, and just again, fatigue started to set in. And then, in the final minutes, Leno draws a red card, handling the ball outside the box. And at that point, you just throw up your hands and say, what else can go wrong today?
Oh, honestly, for me, that's not a red card, because there's two ways you've got to look at this. Is it denying a goal scoring opportunity? No, because that ball down the side of the penalty area is skipping away off that wet surface away from Adama Traore, and as quick as he is, there is not a chance that he's going to get there, control the ball, chop it back inside, and score. There's still at least 4 different motions that he needs to go by there. So in that instance, it's not a sending off because it's not a direct scoring opportunity. It's a yellow at best. Is it a moment of stupidity from Leno? Possibly, but in that situation, he's misjudged the ball. It's not come at where he was anticipating it, and it's a crazy moment where he's just flicked his arm at it. Where, in reality, if he just lets it hits his chest, he's probably shielding the ball anyway away from Traore, so he's not going to be able to get that there. But it is what it is. Hopefully, we appeal that and say, look, it's not a goal scoring opportunity. The maximum that it should be was a yellow card. The David Luiz one, Arteta said in his press conference that he's going to be appealing anyway. So Let's just hope and wait and see what's the result of that. But at that stage, it was gone. As Ryan said, the substitution should have been Smith Rowe at half time. But yeah, it looked like we was looking to contain Wolves for the point and catch them on the counter attack. But theoretically, we should have still kept the main shape of the team and still played the ball and pressed how we were, because we could have won that then. But late into the game, we could have had a point out of the game if I think it was Saka would have played the ball first time across to Aubameyang, but it wasn't to be. We've got to take the loss, unfortunately, which is really frustrating.
Given the way they started, it's. I mean, we're all still trying to put our heads back together after that. I mean, this looked for all the world like an easy win. Never mind a win, an easy win. So much was going right. So Ryan, how do you pull it back together? They still have a little time. They don't play again till the weekend. It's only Tuesday, but what do you take for? Let's start with the red cards. As Sam pointed out, Luis's card will be appealed. If the red card is sustained, how many matches does Leno miss? And let's talk about the fact there's a real head scratcher. Matty Ryan was not available. Runerson had to come out and finish the match, and he looked very shaky. And it was the main reason Ryan is on the squad. What's his condition if Arsenal have to go to a backup keeper for Villa? As Arteta, what do you tell your club now?
Tell them to regroup, refocus, we go again. Literally, this game was out of our hands. We did everything we could in the first half. We fought back brilliantly after going down to 10 men. I still think we could have won it with 10 men. But then obviously with Leno's red card, it made it a lot harder. So if I was Arteta, I'd just tell him in the dressing room, you did what you could. We left it all out there. We go again on the weekend. Put it to the back of your mind. It's not our fault. Not all of you played well. We'll leave it at that. Leno probably misses one game. I think Luis misses one game, but he might get 2 games for accumulation of red cards this season. Has he been sent off this season?
Yeah, 3 times.
This season? Well,
Yeah, 3 times this season.
No, Gabriel has. I don't remember if David Luiz has, but
I swear I did. Well, might be.
I have to check that one. But okay, yeah, but they have cover on the left side if they need to. If David Luiz is not available, I'm more concerned with Leno. Is Ryan going to be available? That's the concern.
Arteta said he should have him back in the next few days.
Okay.
So hopefully he's ready for Saturday.
So looking again, it's hard to refocus, Sam, but those first 30-40 minutes, there were so many positives on the offensive side of the ball. Saka was back. Saka was, the Bukayo Saka we've come to expect. He was dangerous. Nico Pepe seems to be getting stronger. I mean, he's as you said, the confidence is just swelling with him. When you're seeing and working on the left, really, maybe we should talk about that a little bit. He's really finding his place on that side of the ball. It's going to give the manager some flexibility with Aubameyang, who's at this point, I think by the weekend, certainly should be available in any capacity at any place where the manager wants to place him.
Yeah, I think the difficult thing with Aubameyang at the moment is where Lacazette's been in form, you can't really dump Lacazette and put Aubameyang up front because they're 2 different types of strikers. And, I've been extremely critical of Lacazette over the last 2 years, probably. But with Aubameyang, we really need to play to his strengths if he's going to go through the middle. So with Pepe, depending on what side he is, and Saka, depending on what side he is, Aubameyang needs to be making them runs in behind the defence, and then balls need to come in early. And the players in midfield, so Smith Rowe, Xhaka, and Partey, again, they need to be on the floor precise, but again, a bit more difficult, but they need to be perfectly weighted so Aubameyang can run onto them or even isolate somebody one-on-one with a final ball. But with Lacazette, it kind of fits a bit more because he's able to hold that ball up, bring others in, and then we have that interchange in and around the box. I know there's some noises from Arteta saying that they're going to be discussing a new contract for Lacazette at the end of the season. But for me personally, I think we need to look at somebody in a similar style that's younger, more flexible and quicker, and replace Lacazette and let him go in the summer, because he's not going to get any better than where he's at right now, unfortunately. But with Aubameyang, as you say, it gives Arteta a lot of flexibility. Obviously, he is our main goal scorer throughout the club. So it might be the case of depending on seeing where the league goes, but if it gets a bit top 4 and top 6 becomes unattainable, start planning for next season. Put Aubameyang through the middle and go from there.
All right, let's stay with the immediate. They're going to play Villa. Let's talk about Villa for a moment. I really feel kind of this club owes Aston Villa one. Villa probably put the ugliest beat down on Arsenal in the first half of their season, and there was a lot to choose from there. But they came to the Emirates, Ryan, and really kind of ran us off the pitch. Ollie Watkins had a field day. Grealish was running amok. Their midfield at that time, we were far different. This was before Smith Rowe, before Saka had found his place. But Arsenal was unsettled, and Villa really made them pay. Obviously, we know some of the players are different now. The look is different now. What makes you more optimistic this time that the result will be better at going to Villa Park?
The team is a little bit more settled, but the 11 kind of picks itself at the moment, and that's what Arsenal have lacked recently, is that stability of an 11 that you can rely on. I know we're going to be missing Leno and probably Louise, but the spine is still pretty much going to be the same with Holding, Xhaka, Partey. I would start Odegaard over Smith Rowe because I think he needs a rest at the moment. And obviously, whoever plays up front, Aubameyang or Lacazette. So I think I'm optimistic because I think we've got a creative player now. Last time we played them, who did we start in the middle? I think we started Willock, and it didn't really go to plan because they just camped. They camped on their penalty area, hit us on the counter attack, which then made Willock null and void because if he can't run with the ball, he's not very good with it in tight spaces. So Odegaard or Smith Rowe, either one of them, I think that would be the difference maker. And with the game at the Emirates, Partey went off at half-time injured. So we didn't have him in the second half where they absolutely slapped us. So,
and again, let's refocus on that. I mean, he was brilliant in that first half, playing from deep, feeding balls from deep, dribbling out from deep. Finding people, going forward. I was amazed how many times Wolves tried to go forward, either with passes over the top or just long passes through the middle, and he was just there, and he was just a magnet. He just stopped them all. It's really changed. I mean, it's obvious if you watch it, Sam, but he has completely changed the look of that deep midfield, that central midfield. Now, Ryan mentioned a name that we need to talk about. I mean, we were getting to this anyway, but the window closed yesterday, and Arsenal, if you look at the sum of their moves, has to come out one of the better clubs in the Prem as far as what they were able to accomplish in the January window. Nothing spectacular, but they did bring Martin Odegaard in, and Smith Rowe, as Ryan said, needs a rest, and I think we're all eager to see what Martin Odegaard can do if you give him more than 10 minutes, because he got kind of mop-up time in the United match. It was very tight, kind of at that point, people, I think, playing for the point, looking for a chance, but not really going for an attack. Seeing what we did today, plug Martin Odegaard into that, and what do you look for on the weekend?
It has to be 3 points. Ultimately, with Odegaard I think Arteta's trying to manage him because obviously he hasn't played a lot of minutes for Real Madrid. He's coming in the back end, but as we say with Smith Rowe, he looks completely knackered at the moment. So what I'd probably do with Odegaard is to give him 60 minutes. When that's up, replacing with Smith Rowe. But what ultimately you're looking from him is to link up with the attack, be the link between the midfield and the attack, and also the wings. For him to be able to thread either Aubameyang and Lacazette through, and just really believe in his ability and just show everybody what he's made of, because we've all been excited about him. Obviously, the world was excited about him when he was 15, and you speak to fans of the teams that he's been out on loan with, and they just speak about him in an absolute glowing manner. So it's time for Arsenal fans to start seeing this this superb talent that we've got on our hands for 6 months, possibly longer.
Yeah, possibly longer is very enticing, and what they do with them in these next few games, in these next few months, will really determine whether we add that clause or longer. Ryan, let's stay with the window. Obviously, Odegaard came in, the big replacement. We talked about Matty Ryan a little earlier, and he could be really important this weekend. Arsenal may need to put him in. Again, I think we'll all be nervous if Runderson is between the posts on the weekend against Villa. But let's talk about the sum of it, and what stands out, in addition to getting Martin Odegaard for 6 months, is 6 months early getting 4 players who are costing this club. Sam tweeted it out. We've been talking about it in the group forever. £630,000 per week off the books. You do a little quick math. Now, some of it was not January 1st. Some of it was at the end of January. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 18 million pounds worth of salary now is somebody else's responsibility. The summer looks set up. Arsenal looks like they could be aggressive, and now the game is, let's move as high up the table as possible.
Absolutely. And one of my friends on Twitter, Brad, he actually DM'd me and said that that 18 million pound that we saved in these 6 months could actually be used for a signing in the summer, or it could be like 2 installments of 2 major signings.
Mm-hmm.
And when you put it like that, I was like, well, fantastic. We're not paying these bums money anymore, and they're not here. We've managed to ditch our highest earner somehow. He wasn't playing for us, but somehow we've managed to do a deal for him to leave. We've got rid of the clown at the back, Mustafi. We got rid of Socrates, which I was in 2 minds about, because I liked him and his celebration on slide tackling. Got rid of Kolasinac, who was more of a bodyguard than anything else. So I'm really happy with the business that we did. We got two great signings. Matty Ryan is going to be a great backup for Leno. He's going to push Leno even further than he has been playing. Odegaard's going to help Smith Rowe develop. They're both going to develop in the same rate, and it's going to be great to watch. We just done some really good work, and I'm really excited about what's to come in the next few months. Because I don't know if I told you, actually, I was actually told by someone close to the club that we've opened an interest in a certain centre back from Leipzig for the summer. So we'll see what happens there. So
not the one who's in the papers, not the one who's in the papers, right? The other one.
The better one.
Yes,
the better one, right? And that's the secret here of the pod. If you follow the pod, the guy who's connected to all the big clubs in the Prem and some of the big ones in France, that's not the one we want. The other guy. All right, we'll talk about him in a moment. That's great news, and we'll hang on to that little nugget because again, that's more reason to be excited about the summer. But let's talk, Sam. Let's talk about culture. All right, because we just talked about. Ryan just talked about how much money the club saved. We put charts up, all this dead salary, all this dead wood. They took a chainsaw to it. Ed, you and the other boys in the front office really they just hacked all that dead wood away. But just as important, we're not seeing these bitter stories in the press anymore, which we used to see after wins, that there's calamity in the dressing room, and the managers being challenged, and a time when we should be celebrating 3 points and everything's moving up and the club seems to be turning around. There was poison in the water, and that's gone because a certain elderly clique, which we assume was the source of a lot of this, I don't want to call it misinformation, but disinformation, let's say, gone. This really, I think, maybe for the first time since Mikel took over 14 months ago now.
Yeah.
This is his club.
Yeah. As you say, with the information that was coming out, that was coming from a certain guy that's gone off to Turkey, and his little Tottenham social media backroom side.
Entourage,
so, yeah. So now that he's gone, that's a big plus. Obviously, there's a lot of information coming out through the club saying, he's this, he's that, he's doing well, blah blah blah. But from what we've heard here at the pod, if you've listened and seen us online, then the information that's coming out is coming out to try and spin positive light on him. But ultimately, now he's gone. Now that his little clique's gone, Mustafi didn't say anything after he left yesterday, which I found quite interesting. He's gone. Socrates, as Ryan said, I was a bit 50-50 about him. He could have been a decent backup, but ultimately it was on too much money. But as you talk about culture, Mikel's now got a squad size that is now very manageable, and even with Willock going on loan, Willock's, you can even go back to the summer, same with Saliba going on loan. We've got to give props to Ben Knapper, the loan manager, to pick out the right fitting teams for people going out on loan. Ainsley Maitland-Niles, you could say it's a bit 50-50 with him, although I don't think that he's good enough to make it at Arsenal in a midfield role. He'd probably be a backup fullback, but that'd be the extent of work where he is. But if you're looking at culture, you're looking at a squad that is very close-knit, a squad that is fighting and playing for each other, and a squad that is manageable. And that's the key word that Arteta wants. He wants a manageable squad. And our squad was I think it was at 31. I think it's now down to 25. So with that, we've got cover. I know people were a bit disappointed that we didn't bring in a left back, but we've got cover at left back. We've got Cedric, who's performed very well over the last couple of games. Saka can play there if need be, and I'm pretty sure if we're down on our haunches and in dire need of a centre back, I can pretty much guarantee Gabriel can go out and play there. Although not as an attacking sense, as a defensive fullback, it'll be fine. But the culture that Mikel's creating, you can see that shining through in the way that we're playing now, how the confidence is back, and how smiles are back in training pictures. So you can see people are happy that certain people have gone. You can see the squad working for each other. It's just today's just a disappointment, a blip in the road, but we go again.
Yeah, and that's the final word. I think, talking to you gentlemen, I hope you've been able to kind of exhale a little bit. I mean, there was so much fury coming out of that match for those last 45 minutes. And I'm just dying to get on the air and just kind of talk myself down from that horrible place. Not a lot all we're focused on now are the matches. Later on in the month, Europa League resumes. Looks like we'll get to that. That's still 2 weeks down the road. Now, 2 critical matches. We were looking at 3 matches that look very manageable. Wolves look like a real good chance to pick up 3 points. Obviously, that's by the boards, but Villa is now doubly important. As we go to the weekend, what do you say? Just to kind of get yourselves back in an optimistic mood. Ryan, what do you got?
to say to the, I would say to the team, you're playing well, you're dominating teams better than you did before, you're cutting them open more. Pepe's got more confidence. Saka looks like the star boy that we know he is. Smith Rowe's playing out of his skin. Lacazette's in banging form. Partey has come into the team and looked like he's been playing for us since Patrick Vieira was here. So we've got a lot of things to be optimistic about. Like Rob Holding, since he signed his contract, he's looked every bit worth of that contract. He's still got Gabriel to come into the side, Kieran Tierney to come back. So it's positive all around. I wouldn't be too downbeat about the result tonight because while at the time I was obviously very, very angry, I've never been that angry at a football match for a very long time. But we go again. We regroup and we go and batter Villa on Saturday.
No, and Sam, we haven't mentioned the name Kieran Tierney in this pod, but he should be back. Or we're optimistic. That's another reason to be optimistic.
It is. We're hoping for him to be back. I think I saw Mikel saying that he wasn't close to being back today, but he hopes that he'll be back at the weekend. But I think the club needs to come out and be honest to say what is actually the issue there. Because to say that he's having calf discomfort, well, what is the calf discomfort? Is it a pull? Is it a tear? What is it? But ultimately, there's a lot to look forward to with this team moving forward between now and the end of the season. The way that we're playing, obviously, the last 10 seconds and second half aside today, I'm not afraid of anybody in this league because we can go toe to toe the big boys. We can dominate teams. It seems that we were getting. I wouldn't say getting, but it's on the road to getting our Arsenal back, the one that we love see dominating. And if you looked at our form table, we were second behind Man City. So if we carry on in that vein and go down that road, then I don't fear any team in this league.
And nor we should be. Let's go back again. Let's just go back to the weekend. No Tierney, no Aubameyang, no Saka. Arsenal still, and then we lost Lacazette about 60 minutes in. Arsenal was still going toe to toe with a club that at the time was second in the table and was still being mentioned as a championship contender. So I second Sam. I fear nobody, and I second Ryan. I'm very optimistic to see where this club goes in the next few weeks. So, on that note, go ahead. You got something.
I just want to give a massive shout out to Granit Xhaka because since he's been back, he's shown the heart, the fight, the passion, and desire to win the Arsenal fans back. And today, he really summed him up when he was down to 9 men and he was pressing for his life. I just want to say that is very much appreciative as a fan to watch, that someone really does care. And I just want to shout him out for turning it around and winning over the fans again.
Yeah, and that's a long neglected, long abused phrase about caring. I think we see the club, the players that we have now care, and it's manifesting itself, and they're rising up the table. And I'm going to say with you guys that today was just a very unfortunate pothole, but I have all the confidence the club can shake itself off, dust itself off, and come back this weekend. So, all right, for all of you who've joined us in this venting therapy session, we thank you for joining us. Thank you for following us. Look for us on Twitter at Daily Pod, Daily Gooner Pod, at our spot on Twitter. Look for us on our YouTube feed. We're finding you there. We're looking for subscribers. Happy to chat with you. Those of you who have joined Patreon, obviously we chat with you every day. If you're looking into that, do that. We'd love to have you as a member of our Gooner Daily family. On that note, we'll say again, thank you again. It's been a rough day, but better days are ahead. So for Ryan, for Sam, I'm Raphael, and we bid you a good night.